Is it going to be helpful to increase legislation? We talked about like the threat actors not actually having to follow regulation, right? And then jurisdictionally, if you don't even think about threat actors, just jurisdictionally, nation to nation, like if one nation decides not to take on regulation or not to impose the right set of controls around AI, it can operate in a vacuum without any impact from those states that are imposing regulation.
Well, right, and does it give a natural advantage or disadvantage? So this has become really an interesting set of circumstances we find ourselves in. I think we're going to look back 10 to 15 years. So if you think about the countries that have really focused on this, I think the EU generally has taken the lead in being able to drive the EU AI Act. There are some complaints about how that's been done, but I think overall, bringing the stakeholders together, understanding how to help define this, and making it a living document, I think it's probably the right way to go. The problem is it's having somewhat of a chilling effect on AI companies coming into Europe. You're seeing some of that play out. The US has done what it has done historically, which is not necessarily build federal laws, but there's a presidential executive order, there's some other mechanisms coming out of CISA and obviously NIST AI risk manager framework, and then the individual states have put mandates and executive orders for the governors in certain states to help support it. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Will it be very similar to GDPR, how that kind of came down, right? Yeah. But then you see countries like India. And India purposely said, we're going to hold a little bit here. We're not necessarily going to regulate AI the same way. And so then the question becomes, does that become a place where AI organizations go because there is not as much regulation? And my perspective is we need a certain level of legislation here just simply because AI is going to change the way that we live, work, whatever. And I think there's a lot of fear. And so without putting these guardrails and a mechanism in place, there's fear that it'll just start to run rampant and we won't have any mechanism to control it.